Welcome to the Ryan Pineda Show, where our mission is to invest,
I only expect to make money in things that I understand.
innovate,
It's about believing in the future and thinking that the future will be better than the past.
and inspire.
I am much more likely to hit my goal just due to putting it out there.
You're now rocking with the best.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Ryan Pineda Show. I've got my cousin Josh back for another round of just talking about normal people stuff, man.
Yeah, normal people stuff.
No, just kidding. So we actually had a previous episode with Josh. If you missed out, it was about the 9 to 5 and just kind of the struggles that, you know, the everyday person has on that and just leaving and trying to get out of it. Today's episode, I kind of want to talk about what it's like trying to buy your first either home or maybe your first rental property. It's something you're actually going through right now. So I'm excited to talk about like what your thought process is and kind of go through some different things that I'm sure many people are wondering about.
Oh, it's, I mean, I kind of did it wild too. I heard that Tesla and Apple, they're moving their headquarters down to Austin, Texas. So, I mean,
Did you hear that from my YouTube video?
no, it was before your YouTube video.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we're on the same like research pages of stuff first, but, I was checking out the market out there. Plus I love Austin. Have you ever been?
No, I haven't.
Dude, you got to get out there. It's a blast.
What do they say? It's weird?
It's very weird.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
It's weird and it's fun, but so I wanted to jump on the market because the houses are relatively not that expensive. Plus, you know, they're all real nice.
Yeah.
Everybody out there is nice.
What is so cool about Austin? Why are all these tech companies moving there?
You know, I'm gonna say land. Probably there's a lot of space that's
Okay.
out there and around the surrounding Austin zones. I mean, it used to be all farm stuff. You see a lot of like flattened out cornfields.
Yeah.
You know, and then the only thing that's the downside, you know, there's no state tax that's out there. Property tax is expensive though.
Yeah, I've heard that in Texas. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean they got to pay for those giant like football stadiums. That's the
high school stadiums.
yeah,
The high school stadiums are nicer than UNLV stadium.
for real, for real.
Yeah.
It's a full on Friday night weekend event out there for
Yeah.
you know any kind of high school football stuff.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah, they're all superstars.
So you're buying in Austin, and we'll talk about that deal later on in the podcast individually, but let's talk about some things that I'm sure many people are wondering, especially, like I said, if you're trying to buy your very first home or you're trying to buy your first investment, something like that. So the number one thing I get asked is, are we in a bubble? Is the market going to crash? Like, you know, what's going to happen since coronavirus and everything that's going on? Well, well, actually, let me ask you, is that something that you thought about?
I you know what? Right now, I'm thinking of the long term, so I'm not really scared of a bubble.
Right.
You know, I feel like it's something can recover in 10 years. It'll be fine. I think the bubble moves. You know, like we had the .com bubble in 2000, and then we had the housing crisis in 2008.
Yeah.
And you know, now we're going to be. I don't know. Have you looked at used car prices recently?
Dude, it's insane.
Yeah.
The luxury cars are insane. It's funny, like the craziest assets are appreciating right now. Like boats are the most expensive they've ever been.
break out another 1,000. That's what BOAT stands for.
Break out another 1,000.
Yeah. When it comes to maintenance, break out another 1,000 because
Yeah.
it's just it's not going to appreciate.
Yeah. And I can just tell you too, you know, I just bought a piece of land that I'm going to build my new house on. And the reason was I looked at the luxury home prices and they were ridiculous. Mm-hmm. I'm like, dude, I thought we're in a recession. Like there's a pandemic going on. People don't have jobs. Mm-hmm. But the reality is the pandemic has created kind of like an even bigger wealth gap. Like the rich got richer, you know, like the rich got the PPP loans. They got, you know, the people who had these digital type businesses thrived, like Amazon.
Yeah.
You know, what did Elon and Jeff Bezos end up being worth after the pandemic? They like doubled. They each gained like $100 billion in net worth or something crazy.
Oh yeah, brick and mortar stores are closing
Yeah.
left and right too.
So it's like this wealth gap is widening and like it's being redistributed. Mm-hmm. And I think it goes back to, you know, just like the bubble and stuff. Are we in one? Well, to me, it just really depends what side of the fence you're on, you know?
Oh yeah.
Because I just don't see any way that housing drops with what they're doing. And I would say it should drop if there was no government interference. But the fact that we have so much interference now, to me, it's like they're signaling, hey, we're not going to let it happen.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, as long as interest rates stay low, and I think that housing is going to be fairly, it's going to stay the same.
Yeah. Yeah. Interest rates are staying low. Inventory is at all-time lows nationwide. Demand has never been greater than it is today. I mean, people are wanting to leave apartments and condos because they want some yards and the suburbs. You're seeing people leave the coast like California, like New York, and they're trying to go to Vegas and Tampa and all these things. And, it's funny because I've done those YouTube videos and they are my best videos. Like they have hundreds of thousands of views just talking about why everyone's leaving California, which is one of those was, hey, they're leaving to go to Austin.
Yeah.
They're leaving to go to Vegas. And even those markets where people are still leaving, they're getting replaced by new people. So those markets are still hot.
Yeah. Yeah. It's what's that rule in California that they're proposing? It's like an income tax rule where you have to continue paying California even after you leave.
That was what that video is about. When I first made that video, I never thought that it would like go viral or anything. But it was just like this BS rule that I saw. I was like, no way they're going to try and do that. Essentially, they're trying to propose that if you leave California, you still will owe them income tax. It's like, how can you owe them income? Like, you're going to pay this other state income tax if they have it. You're going to pay twice.
Yeah.
You have the choice to leave. It's like they're going to hold you hostage. And they're talking about retroactively doing it. So it's like, even if you move there in, say, 2019, call it, they're like, oh, well, if you lived here in 2016, you still got to pay 2017, 2018, 2019. Like, how can you do that?
That's impossible. Like, hey, by the way, you owe me another 115 grand.
Yeah. You totally, made a smart move to leave so you could not pay this, but we're still going to hit you for it.
Yeah. I mean, what are they going to do? Take your property in California? I mean, how are they going to?
Yeah. I don't know how they're going to do it, but the fact that they're even trying to propose it is like one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
That's ridiculous. It's like, I never got that bill.
No. So anyways, I just think no matter where you're at, I don't think we're in a bubble. I do think it's an awesome time to buy a home. Mainly because I do think prices are going up.
Yeah. That's one of the things why I jumped in Austin so quick. I was like, I don't want these prices to shoot up anymore. I've been looking at Zillow and Trulia and all that stuff. And, it's plus 10 grand this month.
Right.
I'm like, oh yeah, I can't wait another month because I don't want it to be a plus 30 grand.
Right. So let's actually talk about that. Let's talk about markets. I get a lot of people who tell me that. They're like, Ryan, what market's the best market to invest in? They're like, we see you're in Vegas. Why don't you buy a ton of Vegas rentals? We see you're in Big Bear. Should we buy in Big Bear? And it's funny. We were talking about this, our last episode we filmed together. I don't know your situation or what you're capable of or I can't tell you what's the best market. It's going to really depend on you. And one thing I've always said about real estate markets, especially when it comes to rental property, because what I will say is with flips, it really doesn't matter. I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to flip it and make your money. If you buy it extremely discounted, you can flip it and make money really fast.
Yeah.
But the long term, like you had mentioned, is like, hey, even if it crashed tomorrow, I plan to hold this long term. It's going to recover.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you bought a house in 2007, if you held it till today, you're looking really good.
Yeah.
You just paid off 13 years of principal plus, it's worth more today. So even if you had the worst timing in the history of real estate, you were fine 10 years later.
Dude, did you know the house that I bought in 2008, I bought it super discounted because it was originally foreclosed, and I paid $210 for it or something like that. And when it 2010, they were like, yeah, it's only worth 107. And I was like, whoa, it was already discounted. How is it even less?
Right.
And it's back up now. I mean, it's
probably worth 300
now. Yeah. And I'm like, damn, if I would have held onto that house, it wouldn't have,
If you could have found a way to rent it out, and have somebody else pay it down, you'd be sitting on a really nice asset.
Yeah, I'd have a chunk. I mean, that was 12 years ago.
Right.
You know?
And so that's why I think right now is a great time to buy, especially if you're a buy and hold guy. And so really, if you do make the decision, like you're agreeing with what I'm saying right now, and you said, okay, the market's not going to crash, but even if it does,
it's not going to
be a big problem because I'm getting such cheap debt, like you mentioned. I mean, rates are in the like they're literally giving money away. And the reason they're doing that is because they want more money in the economy. You know, the more loans they lend out, the more money that's in the economy, and that's how it works. That's economics. And I would just say I've done quite a few YouTube videos on this. If you guys don't follow, subscribe to my main channel, go to Ryan Pineda on YouTube, and you'll see a bunch of rental property videos I've done. And the main question you got to ask yourself with every market is, am I looking for appreciation or am I looking for cash flow? Because it's very difficult to get both in the same market. You know, for instance, Vegas, I've got rentals out here and the cash flow sucks. You know, at the end of the day, my mortgage might be $1,500 on a property and it rents for $1,700, $1,800. It's not good.
Yeah.
Once you take in property management, I might actually be losing money.
Yeah.
But at the same token, I'm getting a lot of benefits that offset that. I'm getting tax write-offs. I'm getting principal pay down. I'm getting appreciation. And so I'm okay with the trade-off. And I also know that in like 5 years, 10 years, it's going to actually cash flow really good. I mean, it may be 1,800 today. 5 years from now, what's it going to be? 2,300?
Yeah.
2,500? 10 years from now, 3,000? And then we're looking really good.
Yeah.
So for me anyways, this is why I say everyone's situation is unique. I can be okay not making any money cash flow wise. Or in fact, even if it's vacant, cover the mortgage and be okay.
Yeah.
But that's not everyone's situation. If you can't afford to do that, you should not take that strategy, you know? But the other side of the coin is cash flow. And so a lot of people go to these Midwest states. I use the Midwest a lot because that is where on paper the best cash flow is. I mean, you could get a house for $100,000, $150,000 and it rents for, $1,000, $1,500. Like it rents way
Making
better.
money. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like those don't really appreciate the way the Vegas homes appreciate. You know, that house in 2010 that you had, for $100,000.
Yeah.
The house is worth $300,000 now, 3x 10 years later. That $100,000 house in the Midwest, what was it going for 10 years ago?
Yeah. The Austin area that I was looking at, there's a town called Pflugerville. It was like a year ago, the house was going for a 175. Now it's 260.
Right. That's where I want to be personally. Yeah. I would much rather get the appreciation just because my position, I don't need to make another couple $100 every month. That doesn't really excite me.
Yeah.
But that's, like I said, it's not saying that it's wrong. I know a lot of people, even some of my students, they have like 50 rental units in the Midwest and, they're making $200, $300 a unit and they're making really good cash flow. And, it's a good strategy if I would say you're in that market and you understand it. Guys like us in Vegas trying to invest in Ohio. Yeah. Probably not going to end up well.
Well, plus you have to have somebody there that you trust that, can keep an eye on your property and,
Right.
That's work on its own, just trying to find somebody that can do that for you.
Right. So let's talk about Austin then. We're talking about markets. I literally just said, it's tough to go virtual, but you're doing it anyway as your very first rental.
Yeah. Surprise.
Yeah. So are you making a huge mistake or what are you doing?
It's not really.
Are you second guessing it now?
No. I just don't think that there would be a, it's trial and error. There's no real mistakes. It's, it's all learning experiences.
Yeah, that's true.
So, it's, I got a nice lady over there that's like, I'll do your property management for you. And
how'd you meet her?
She's a friend, family friend that's out there.
That's good. I thought you were going to say Zillow.
Yeah. Yeah. I jumped onto some random website. I was like, hey, Craigslist, who can help me out?
That's how, I could talk a lot about Craigslist because I used to flip so many couches on Craigslist, but I hired my first contractors and everything on Craigslist.
They worked out great.
Yeah, they were fantastic.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, it's just, I'm looking for long-term entirely. So it's one of those things where it's like, either way, I mean, my mortgage is going to be X and,
Yeah, let's talk about the numbers. What are you seeing on the numbers?
I mean, I'm probably going to be breaking even for the first go around, because a lot of the houses where I bought my house out there, they're going for $1,900 a month.
Okay, 1,900. And you're buying a new build, right?
Yeah, it's a new build.
Okay, so I like that. So you're buying a new build. What's the price?
It was $274.
Like, how big is it? Bedroom?
It's 1,600 square feet, 4-bedroom. It's got 2 bath, 2-car garage.
Dude, that's you can't find that in Vegas.
Yeah, the backyard's huge too. It's 50 by 60. I thought I had a big backyard out here,
right?
With the 35 by 35. I mean, my old house, it was you open the back slider and
you could hit the wall.
Yeah, you get 1 foot out and you're done.
That's Vegas for you.
Yeah,
and the people in California, like, I'm listening in Vegas and I'm like, that'd be great if that existed in Vegas, which it did 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
But the people in California are listening and they're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
You can get that in Austin, Texas?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I had a client that he told me, he's like, yeah, I sold my house in Glendale and I could buy 7 houses out here. It's like, and he lived in an old house in Glendale. It wasn't,
right,
nice by any standpoint.
Here's a quick word from our sponsors. Are you looking to grow your real estate investing business? My company, Future Flipper, can help. We've trained hundreds of people all over the country learn to flip, wholesale, and buy rental properties. And it doesn't matter where you're at in your investing journey. Whether you're trying to get your first deal or scale your company, Future Flipper can help. We have courses, coaching, and events for all levels of investors. So if you want to take the next step, go to futureflipper.com and book a free consultation to see how we can help you. Once again, that's futureflipper.com. One of the hardest parts about real estate investing is finding a good contractor. That's where Southwestern Custom Construction comes in. They've been doing remodels in Nevada and Arizona since 2006. As a fully licensed and bonded general contractor, they're able to help with any type of renovation, all the way from an entry-level fixer-upper to a custom luxury home. Southwestern Custom Construction specializes in working with investors. I've personally used them on many of my projects, so I know their team is legit. If you want to get a bid on a project, head over to customhomenow.com. Once again, that's customhomenow.com. Are you looking to find off-market real estate deals? One of the best tools my team uses is Batch Leads. With Batch Leads, you're able to pull data, manage lists, and send text messages. On top of that, you can get nationwide access to the MLS to get pictures and comps. My team has used Batch Leads to get some of our best deals, so I know it works. If you want to start today, you can get half off your first month by going to batchleads.io and using the promo code Ryan. Once again, that's batchleads.io, promo code Ryan for half off your first month. Now, back to the show. So you're buying it for $275. How much are you going to put down?
See, that's where I'm.
You were asking me about this.
Yeah,
what were you thinking?
See, I know the 20% down is going to help me out with as far as like price wise, cash flow. I mean, it's going to drop the price of my mortgage every month on it. But then I'm like, how do I put 5% down? That'll still get me into that zone where it's.
Mm-hmm. They're going to let you put 5% down even as a rental?
I didn't tell them it was a rental.
All right. I hope none of them watch this. But so you're going to put. Well, here's the deal. You can actually put 10% down as a second home.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, so because I was ready to put the 20 down, just to call it a day.
Right.
And keep it copacetic. But I mean, if I could put 10% down, it would be
right.
It'd be less painful.
My first Big Bear home was 10% down. That's what I did. And then we got so much equity that, I ended up refinancing it. And what's funny is because rates are so low and because prices are so high, I'm going to refinance it again.
Yeah.
I was actually talking about this on Instagram the other day. If you don't follow me on Instagram, definitely go follow, and we'll link to that below. But on stories, I was saying that 3 years ago, I bought my very first true rental, which was in Big Bear. Bought it for $200,000. And, I put 10% down. And honestly, I didn't think it was going to be the start of this business. Now I've got 10 of them out there. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, dude, Big Bear's cool to hang out at. I love snowboarding. I love nature. It's way different than Vegas. $200,000 is super cheap for a vacation home, And I just bought it. And I thought the market was undervalued because Tahoe and stuff was twice the price. Brian Head, I just didn't really like.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I bought it, put $30,000 into it, made it super nice. And I thought that was it. Well, me, I got the bug because I immediately saw how much it was making in Airbnb.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to buy more of these. And sure enough, I kept buying and buying. But long story short, I actually am refinancing that property today because it appraised at 420 just 3 years later.
Yeah, that's huge.
Insane. And the rates are lower. So like I might end up having a very, well, not a similar payment, but not much more, and take out all that cash.
Cashing out that extra.
Yeah. And then I can go reinvest that into Austin, Texas or something. I don't know.
Yeah, we could be neighbors.
I don't know about that, but as long as the numbers make sense. So tell me, you're buying it for $275. Well, and I guess before we get into that, my whole point with that was this is what happens with appreciation and rental properties is like, if you pick the right market after, you get a lot of options. Like I was making cash flow, but now, hey, you know what? I could pull out $100,000 and, you know, do something with it.
Yeah, you can definitely just jump into something else. And, you know, the bottom line is that cash flow does come in handy.
Right.
You know, it opens doors and opportunities. Back to the previous episode with the 9 to 5 stuff. It's, you know, if you get a paycheck for $100,000, that can, you know, that could open up a weekend for you.
Well, and it could open up a year for you, right? You know, because we talked about on the 9 to 5, a lot of guys are scared to do it because it's like, oh man, I rely on this. I have a family. But what if somebody gave you a check for $100,000 a day?
Yeah, it could be life changing.
Yeah, it is life changing for 99% of people. I remember the first time I made $20,000, it was life changing.
Yeah.
You know, on a flip, I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I made this quick.
Yeah. Why haven't I been doing this sooner?
And I was like, I got to do this more. And, you know, it's like if you got 100,000 today, that would give you a lot more courage to quit your job and really pursue, you know, a passion, whether it be YouTube or, you know, I know you're super into cars and you work for Mercedes, but maybe it's something different with cars.
Yeah. Yeah. I would like to buy them and hang out with them and drive them around. That would be,
you know, it's funny getting off topic a little bit, but I had one of my buddies who started basically, you've heard of Turo, right? So it's essentially like a Turo, but for exotic cars only, like, and he has a shop or whatever where you just rent them out for the day. And he's like, you know, invest in a Lambo and I'll give you half the profits. Like I'll rent it out for you and all this stuff. He's like, it's a good investment. And I was thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, I mean, if it pays for itself and then in 5 years I own a Lambo,
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But for me anyways, it would go against my debt to income for buying houses, which are way more important to me than buying a Lambo.
Yeah. Again, the Lamborghini is not going to really appreciate like the house will.
No, not at all. But anyways, so Austin, Texas. Okay, you're buying this for $275. And, you know, we don't know how much you're going to put down.
Yeah.
But you said it's going to rent for like $1,900.
Yeah, the other houses that I noticed in that area, they're going for $1,900. Mine's a little bit bigger than the ones that are going for $1,900.
Well, and plus yours is brand new.
Yeah.
So I think you'll get more.
Yeah.
What... I don't know what the property taxes. How much are the property taxes on it?
Oh, they're like $600-700 a month.
Dude, that's crazy.
It's huge.
A $275,000 house in Vegas, for reference, property tax is like $100 a month.
Yeah, yeah,
that's crazy.
I was looking at the payment and I was like,
"You're like, why is the payment so high?"
Yeah, I'm like, why is it the same as my house here?
Yeah, so that's one thing that everyone should definitely be aware of is look at the total payment because there are HOAs, there are, you know, the property taxes vary place to place. I mean, Cali, they're pretty expensive, but they ain't that expensive. You know?
It's paying for those stadiums that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, those 14-year-olds, they need a nice facility, man. Gotta play in front of the fans.
Friday Night Lights.
So, for you, you know, you've been asking me about real estate for years. And, you know, when did we buy your house you live in now?
3 years ago. It's coming up on 3 years.
So we got you that one 3 years ago. And ever since then, you've been talking about rental properties and all that. Why now? What's kind of been the push?
I'm rebuilding the capital, you know, to get into that. And then also, you know, I'm looking more on, you know, not what could go wrong, but what could go right.
Right.
You know, it was definitely a mindset change. So, you know, I've been thinking very differently the last 7 months.
Right.
So it's you know, a lot of me has been held back because I'm like, oh God, what's going to go wrong? everything. I'm going to lose everything. I can't, I can't have my kids sleeping on the street, So now I'm taking that risk to, what could go right.
What caused that mindset change? Like, because most people, it is fear. Fear is what prevents people from taking action.
For me, over the last 7 months, it's been a wild ride. I got dumped by my girlfriend of 7 years, and I was always thinking negatively, but hoping for positive outcomes of things. So right now, I'm like, what could go right? I'm not going to look at the what could go wrong. I'm gonna I'm gonna close my eyes and fumble through it, kind of just to see what happens.
What I found is that failure is really what pushes us to the next level, and I use the example of my year I had in 2019. For those of you who don't know, we had a really big year in 2018. I was riding high. We made over $2 million flipping houses, and that was the first year, I was really building my business. And in 2019, a lot of different things happened. Number one, they raised interest rates. We were just talking about that, right? And the kind of demand for houses stopped. And so I got exposed by a lot of the bad things I was doing and bad habits. Some of those habits were betting on appreciation with our flips, which I teach people never to do, but I was doing it. Second thing was we were very inefficient in a lot of our processes. So, we weren't getting projects done on time. We were going over budget. We were buying deals that were suspect as far as just trying to make them work. And those things all came back to bite us in 2019 because you cannot run a business that way. And it was like, we didn't notice them in 2018 because we were making so much money.
Yeah, it was rolling along.
Yeah, I'm like, you look at what actually happened though, and you're like, wow, we went over 20 grand over budget, but we still made 20 grand. This is great.
Yeah.
It's like, well, no, we should not have made money on that deal.
Yeah.
We got lucky.
Yeah.
And to long story short, we ended up losing $500,000 on bad deals in 2019. And no one had to pay for that loss but me, because all my investors, everybody, they all got paid their interest and everything they were due. And I had to wear it myself. And so that humbled me and taught me a lot. And on top of that, I became a dad in 2019 and trying to balance trying to raise a family, run businesses. And, my son JP was in the NICU for 2 months, and dealing with that was stressful. And, at the end of the year, he had brain surgery, because he bumped his head and he had a brain bleed. And so it was like 2019 for me was such a year of turmoil for business, for, family, everything. And then it was like, that really helped me figure out that like, hey, okay, not everything is always going to be on the up and up. Like when you get punched in the face, that's when you really got to make some changes.
Yeah.
And we made those changes in 2020. I hired consultants. I changed our business model. I did a bunch of different things and, ended up having our best year ever despite, the pandemic and everyone else having their worst year, and it was only because 2019 was so difficult. And so I just think a lot of people who don't make change is because they're comfy.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, 100%. You get complacent.
Yeah.
You get complacent.
And you just, honestly, I really do. You don't ever want to like root for failure.
Yeah.
But it's the best teacher.
Yeah.
I think that's a saying. Failure's the best teacher, maybe.
Yeah. No, that's definitely a saying.
Yeah. So anyways, I'm just happy that you are finally buying that first deal. It sounds like, it was a tough thing that made you finally take action and make a change. So I'm proud of you. And I really do hope that, this episode encourages other people to, start taking action. Don't wait until you fail.
Yeah. There's no time like the present. That's for sure. It's, what is it? Procrastination. Just,
it's the enemy of everything.
Yeah, it is. It's
yeah. I would just say like everyone, just take action. Like you said, there's so many things that can go wrong, but there's so many things that can go right.
Yeah.
I love that you said that. So anyways, guys, I really do appreciate everyone for watching this episode. we're going to be back at it with another segment with Josh talking about some other things. So make sure you're subscribed to the podcast, and we are going to be continuing to pump out these episodes. So we appreciate you guys. Take care. Thanks for watching The Ryan Pineda Show. If you want to work with me, head over to ryanpineda.com. You can find my courses, coaching programs, and upcoming events. We also have free resources you can download, so head over to ryanpineda.com.